I had just as much support from the Republican side as I did Democratic side. And at that time, there was an element of harmony and I'd say kind of fraternity among those who served in the Congress, both the House and Senate, regardless of the party. But that has changed, primarily because of the massive influx of money into the political campaign. And a lot of that money is spent now on negative advertising, and that alienates people from one another who are running for office. It also alienates people in their home district or home state who believe that neither candidate is really worthwhile to send to Washington, and when they get there, they still carry on that animosity or certainly, I'd say, alienation from one another. I'm not as thoroughly familiar with all of the pressures on the president and the obstacles in his path. But I think the thing that we need more than anything else is for the president and other leaders to try as best they can to reach out to the other side and try to understand them and not spend as much time blaming the opposite party whenever something goes wrong or doesn't get done. Well, I went to North Korea in 1994 for the first time, and I've been back several times since. I was there last year. When I go to North Korea, I'm about the only American who goes, the only one that has been president, but I try to talk to the North Koreans and learn what their concerns are. And we, as you know, now for more than 60 years, we have never had a treaty of peace between the United States and North Korea. We just have a ceasefire that was left over from the Korean War. And so I think it's a very serious thing for us to be concerned about, but I believe we need to have more direct talks with the North Koreans, and we need to do everything we can to bring them into the multi-party talks, that is the six power talks, the United States and South Korea and Japan, China, and Russia, and North Korea as well. So I think to reach out to them and try to understand their concerns and their fears would be a very good step that we could take. It wouldn't cost us anything, and I think it would lessen the chance of the North Koreans doing something extremely, I'd say, suicidal almost, and that is to try to attack the United States militarily, because we have the capability to wipe North Korea off the map. Well, I think we ought to redo the law that prohibits the sale or possession, except in special circumstances, of the assault weapons. And I would be in favor of limiting the size of the magazines to maybe 10 rounds per magazine. And I would also be in favor of universal identification of those who purchase weapons, and to make sure that they are screened adequately. I know very few of my children or grandchildren have wound up doing the things that they studied in college. They all have changed later on. And I think that's one of the main things. This is my 31st year as a professor at Emory University, so I get this question quite a lot. And I always advise the young people who can't get a job when they come out, join the Peace Corps. And, take 2 years or 2.5 years and go to a foreign country, learn a foreign language. And then when you come back, you have an almost a sure way of getting a job, because every employer in the country almost wants to have alumni of the Peace Corps. I love Pinky Masters. All right. You brought up my favorite subject. Well, Pinky Masters was, as you know, owned a bar called Pinky's. And when I was campaigning, I used to come down here and participate in the, in the St. Patrick's Parade, and I would always go by Pinky's, although he was Greek and not Irish. But Pinky Masters would close his bar every night early, and he would get old scrap lumber, and he had a stencil machine, and he would put Jimmy Carter for governor, and he would give those, it wasn't bumper stickers, you had to hang them on your bumper because it was wood, and that's what he did for me, and so Pinky Masters was the main reason that I was elected governor, and I got to love him very much, and when I was president, I came back. By the way, he also came to the White House, but I came back down here because I loved Pinky Masters and what he stood for. And he was a great American and a great member of Chatham County, and also Savannah, obviously, and Georgia. And he was a great Georgian. So you can tell how much I love Pinky Masters.